Hey, Mick.
All right.
There we go.
Cool. We are live.
Hey, Mick.
How's it going? How's the YAM fam?
Good. Crushing it.
I know you are.
Yeah, Nate was saying it's been a slow week. I'm like, hasn't felt like a slow week on our side.
Oh, well, I shouldn't say slow. I should say long.
Yeah, word.
All right, guys, we are live.
Excellent. Okay. Sorry, posting. Now I had closed out of Okay, excellent. We have a solid 5 watching. I assume they're all in this Zoom meeting currently.
Probably. We got
I'm not in it yet. So.
300 something people last time who watched when all said and done.
Yeah, that's pretty fun.
Travis, it's good to put a face to a name.
Yeah, sorry about that last time. Was moving around, so it was probably not a good idea.
Oh, we got Ross joining too. I will not dox myself again, guys. Not a mistake you make twice.
You see, the easy solution is to dox yourself on purpose.
Yeah, no, and that's what I did.
Yeah.
11. Figure we'll start at 105.
Hey guys.
Hey, Ross.
Hey, Ross.
That's all I have to say. I'm going to mute myself now.
I'm gonna. Gosh, there's so many similar windows open. It's like, where am I supposed to be clicking? Okay. Right now, I'm gonna separate you so I can watch you. Cool. Okay. I think we might as well get this show on the road. So again, kind of similar structure to last time. We'll just do like a quick run through quick intros of everybody on the call here, and then get into the meat of things. As just an explanation of like what this call is for. Again, it's really just to have another kind of more personal touch point. Get to see some of the faces behind the Discord names, forum avatars and whatnot, and just have a deeper discussion about some of the things that we're thinking and make it clear what's on the agenda and what's been going on, all kind of in one consolidated one consolidated thing here. So my name is Trent. I'm one of the original YAM launchers. Brock and I have been working together in DeFi for about the last 2 years or so. Previously doing some yield optimization products similar to YAM, and then switching over to more prop shop trading activities, including liquidations and arbitrage and things like that. Until about a couple months ago when we started up the YAM project.
Hey, I'm Brock. I'm Trent's younger brother. I'm trying to give a good intro for what we've been doing in the space. I in the YAM ecosystem in the core smart contract dev, and have done most of the smart contract work thus far.
Hey, I'm Nate, smart contract developer. Just been helping out Brock really on the smart contracts lately.
Chris, just helping out as necessary wherever I can. Filmmaker by trade, but also just love building out cool things like YAM.
Hi, folks. Stephen Chung here. Just part of the community, helping out with the treasury investment side, background in finance and investment.
Hey, I am Mick Hagan. I'm just a community contributor. I'm CEO of a company called Genesis Block. We're building a digital bank that's powered by DeFi and crypto and decentralized protocols. So I'm just excited to support YAM.
I think that's everyone we've got on the call today. Someone yell out if I'm skipping you. But yeah, great group that we have here. I'm really fortunate to have all these contributors, as well as the general community that is really key to the pushing forward our strategy and thoughts on all the issues that we're about to cover. So we'll kick it off with just some of the core development updates. The two big pieces that we've been working on for the past couple weeks now and have been in audit and testing and all of that, which are about to finally come to fruition. The first is the DPI purchase. So Brock has written a custom OTC trade smart contract that allows for a DAO to actually execute an over-the-counter trade with a specific counterparty. So our partner there is Grapefruit Trading, which is the desk that Set Protocol put it in touch with. They do a lot of work together. And so that smart contract has been reviewed. We've tested out the transactions to make sure that they're going to work the way that we want. A number of parameters on there to make sure that Grapefruit will be giving us an accurate quote. Not that they would, screw us over anyways, but we've taken all of those precautions. So that's going to be a really cool development. Something bespoke that hasn't really been done before. So pretty excited to see it happen. So we'll be having that go to an on-chain vote on Friday, and then the actual trade will be executed early next week on Monday. And then as far as the ETH/YAM and treasury purchase and LP voting ability, I'll let Brock give a little update on where we are in the audit process there.
Yeah, so seemingly the vast majority of the audit is complete. I expect to get the final report either today or tomorrow from PeckShield. There was a few minor things. So everything has been tuned up and will be ready for deployment probably in the next cycle of on-chain votes.
Excellent. So yeah, both of those will be really exciting and should happen. Do you think the ETH/YAM and LP voting will be next week, Brock?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, cool. And And so we'll talk a little bit about some additional thoughts around that and what we want to do, particularly regarding the LP incentives a little bit later. But as far as front-end development updates, I'm sure many of you saw the new YAM finance dashboard. I'll go ahead and just open that up so people can check it out. So this is something that we've been wanting to get done for a long time. So I'm really excited to see it and think that it looks really great. Gives some visualizations to what's been going on in the protocol. If you have feedback on what would make this easier to read for you, or other data that you would like to see, definitely let us know in the UI feedback channel on the Discord, and we can put that into the backlog of feature requests. But I think this is looking really nice and provide some really important data for people to be able to go see.
It's super sexy. Good work, team.
It is indeed. Yeah, and that was, this was mainly done by Brock, and then also by 0xe and Zashton.eth, who Zashton is the one who originally did treasury.vision. So it's really great to see, someone who just was an ecosystem builder, built some tooling for us, and then actually, came in and helped out with something on the main website. Really excited for that. And 0xe has been really kind of pioneering and taking over a lot of the front-end development work as Clinton has transitioned into his next endeavor. So, super fortunate to have, those front-end community devs popping up. That's one of the things that we asked for last week, and people definitely stepped up and delivered. So that's awesome.
And guys, if there's anything that you see for the front end, any other information you'd want on that dashboard or any other tools you'd want, we have a UI feedback channel on Discord, and we want to know, right? And if you can build it, even better, right? So that, we'll get different tiers of involvement, but give us feedback. We want the dashboard and site to be functional and useful for everybody.
Absolutely. And that'll, if you build it, that'll come a little bit later when we talk about some of the compensation things. But, one of the great things about the Treasury is that we do have the capacity to fund developments in the ecosystem. So we'll get into that a little bit later. In terms of the past week in governance, just to recap those who haven't been following kind of each piece, we have paused the LP incentives currently on the YAM YUSD pool. And this is largely because the point of those incentives is really to provide liquidity for the Treasury to buy into. Due to the market action that we've been seeing, we've really just been paying for liquidity that the protocol itself isn't using in any fashion. Added on top of that, YUSD isn't exactly the most common asset, which means that it's also not really providing that entry and exit liquidity that is also really helpful for a project. So we've paused those incentives, which is saving us really about 20% of our current incentive budget, around 150,000 balance of underlying YAMs, if I'm recalling the calculation I did correctly. So I think I'm really excited that we did that move, and it also gives us an opportunity to evaluate our incentive structure in a more coherent way for how we want to incentivize in the future. So there's going to be some discussion on that in a little bit as well. Additionally, we have on-chain synced the ETH-YAM sushi swap pool. So, I think that's great that we're, getting a little bit more collaborative with that community. I believe they will be incentivizing the they've been incentivizing ETH 2. I believe they're about to start incentivizing ETH 3. And so, yeah, just great that we're doing something to motivate those V2 laggards to actually migrate, and that SushiSwap is likely going to keep incentivizing that pool and improving our project's liquidity. There was also a round of compensation snapshot votes, and so one of the big things we achieved there was the creation of this contributor vesting pool. And so this is a structure that will allow us to sorry, lost my train of thought. My notification. This is going to allow us to provide more aligned long-term incentives for the contributors to the protocol. So this is something that we think is really important to get people working on this full time and aligned in the long term. And so it was voted on to create that vesting pool via minting. So when this goes on chain, we'll set up a new portion of the treasury, which will be seeded with 720,000 balance of underlying YAMs that will then have a little bit more flexible governance structure that will allow token holders to essentially choose a specific address to vest a specific number of YAMs over a specific amount of time. So this, could be 10K YAMs over streamed continuously over 1 year. It could be over 3 years. We're going to have a lot of flexibility on a per contributor basis, which I think is just really, really helpful for the long-term viability of the project. And then additionally, we had this retroactive compensation vote. So over the past, 3 months or so, we've had really probably over 25, 30 people contributing in various capacities to this project. So this 187K YUSD, which is the weighted average of those results, will be distributed to those individuals in order to compensate them for the work that they've been doing. So we're in the process of getting each of those three pieces on chain, likely in the next week or two. And then lastly, there was a user who sent funds to the token contract accidentally, passing vote to help them recover those YAM v3 funds from the migration multi-sig. Any questions on the past week in governance?
Has the saving the user, has that been executed, or is that going through the multi-sig, or is that going to be on chain?
Yeah, just going through the multi-sig. I don't believe that it's been executed yet, but it's going to be in the next reimbursement cycle. So that should get done quite soon. Okay, so that's past week in governance. Upcoming in governance. As I mentioned, we're going to get this DPI $250,000 purchase going on chain. Should go on chain tomorrow, so be looking for an announcement on that. Very exciting stuff. Additionally, once the ETH treasury purchase and LP voting audit is complete, we'll get that on chain. That'll likely be next week. Both of those have, been discussed at length. All good on those. They're going on chain. Don't expect any pushback on those. What requires a little bit more discussion is, first of all, again, this liquidity incentives on ETH. So I'll just open up this. This is a little piece of analysis I did. Basically, we're looking to create an incentive structure that is sustainable and achieves the goals that we want to do in a really strategic way. So in performing this analysis, I was really looking at basically what's a target level of liquidity that we need to reach for our project's goals, and then what is a APY on that liquidity that compensates the liquidity providers in a smart way that definitely rewards and values their contributions, but does so in a way that's long-term sustainable. And so you can check out the analysis in more depth here. Currently, we've got a majority of people voting for a flat weekly structure. This would ultimately allow for, as the market cap of YAM increases, those rewards to then also increase in their value, which then the liquidity deepens. It kind of naturally will scale from this point on. And at the 5K balance of underlying per week, you can see we've got about 600,000 remaining. So we would have about 2 years worth of incentive potential with this 5K level. While also getting between 1.5 and 5 million in liquidity with some pretty solid APYs. But would love more feedback on that. There are other ways we can do it, but that's one way that easy to understand, easy to implement, and quite sustainable while meeting our goals. Additionally, there's any questions on the liquidity incentives from anyone? Yep, pretty straightforward. Next, purchasing of 250K of ETH. This is a proposal by FedUs. Basically helps us, one, diversify the treasury, and two, this is part one of a two-part proposal to utilize the DPI we're purchasing with this ETH we would purchase to go and farm index, which currently has about 80% APY. So that's a great way to, we start diversifying the treasury and we start earning some really high yield, and just getting in the rhythm of really having a more active management strategy with the treasury and being a little bit more flexible, which is obviously one of the kind of core elements of YAM. It's kind of knocked both of those two out right there. Any thoughts, questions, considerations on upcoming governance? Cool. And then we have the roadmap, which I'll again just pull up here real quick and kind of breeze through. I think most people have probably reviewed this. I started off here with some progress from the last roadmap update, which was about 3 weeks ago. Really happy with the progress that's been made since then. Pretty much all of these have been chipped away at in a major way, if not, fully checked off the list. So I'll just kind of run through these liquidity incentives we've already talked about. This YAM rage quit and lending, I think, is a really interesting development that Tot has been working on pretty extensively. Obviously, the rage quit functionality and the intent to develop that functionality was passed on Snapshot a couple of weeks ago. But we've been really trying to think about how we can do it in a way that makes sense for our treasury and what we want to do with in the future, and how we can maximize the value to YAM holders through this functionality. And so one of the ways we want to do that is not only allowing people to rage quit and give up their YAMs for their portion of the treasury, but also have lending functionality such that I can go collateralize my YAMs and receive my portion of the treasury to then go do other things in the world with that, whether that's levering up on YAM or diversifying investments in other places, or whatever it may be. But I think this is something that I'm really excited to see. I had always imagined the treasury having a money market type component, and so seeing that directly integrated with the rage quit functionality is just a really smart move that I'm really excited to see come to fruition. Not much of a coherent focus in terms of like who's going to build this thing at this point, and kind of what the details there are. But a lot of the concepting is really crystallizing such that the spec is near completion, such that when we have smart contract engineer talent available, someone is going to be able to go and build this for us.
All right, hop in here real quick. On that note, this might be an interesting test case for looking at doing a budgeting for the project and seeing if we can draw in a developer or developers to implement it based on the people who are speccing it out to say and I'm happy to help guide some of the thought process around what this should cost. But speccing out, okay, if someone were to complete this, this is the expected contract work and budget that they would get for that. It might be a good use case or a good test case for that.
Yep, absolutely. And so I think there should be, in the quite near future, a much more detailed proposal coming out about this. There is like a initially called the YAM savings account. It gives a little bit of an idea of how this is going to work in that forum post, but I think Tots developed the idea considerably since then. And then as far as product, the bug hack protection protocol, we are in a position to finally kind of have all hands on deck for the protection protocol. Brock's got a lot of the kind of backlog of proposals pretty much done and implemented, and that's where his focus is leading. And so now it's the time to start thinking about not just like, okay, what are the mechanics of this protection protocol, but what's our go-to-market strategy? Who's building what? What's this thing actually called? And so I posted a kind of overview of the scope into the forum earlier today. So be sure to go check that out and give feedback on it, as well as in the Discord, we have a YAM crop protection channel where we're starting to flesh out, some of these ideas of branding mechanisms in more detail, kind of all of those pieces. So definitely check out those things and get involved, because this is a really exciting project that I think has a ton of potential, and it's just super fun building a protocol from the ground up, and it's not every day you get to be involved in that process. So definitely encourage people to come hang out in that Discord chat room and in the forum. Any thoughts from anyone on the protection protocol? I guess one of the things I'll say, just kind of riffing, is, and this discussion is going on in the Discord a little bit, but the way in which this is like almost kind of like insurance, but it's really more of a like much more gamified type of insurance than what we're seeing from a lot of the insurance protocols that are popping up in the space right now. So, I think when this project was originally concepted, it was like there was nexus in the space, and that was pretty much it. And so it was like, obviously we need some sort of like KYC less insurance product on the market. And I think since, in the last couple months, we've seen a number of projects start to creep up that are going off after this insurance market. But I think we have a really strong leg up on some of those protocols, just because of our, the YAM brand's initial reach is really strong. From a kind of like, can you legally do this? We're in a relatively good position. And rather than saying like, oh, you have $100 position on compound, let's get you coverage for that, like you would on, your home insurance or your car insurance. One of the things that you may have noticed in the DeFi space is that degenerates are not exactly great risk managers. And so like, I think there's a degree to which like product market fit for like just straight up insurance is a little bit still yet to be completely proven out. But I think this kind of mix that the protection protocol is going after has this kind of like momentum building mechanism in terms of the premiums going into the protection pool, and the payout of any hack being the entire protection pool. It creates this degree to which there's massive asymmetric upside to buying coverage in this pool. And so I think that that's going to be something that's really interesting to see develop, and just creates a gamified element of it that's really going to be differentiated. Yeah. Onto Treasury. So this is really where Feta shines. Been really great to see a lot of the discussion going on about how to implement the treasury and kind of what that allocation looks like. And a lot of that discussion has been like, okay, like here are all of the things we can do. It feels very it can feel like a lot in terms of how are we going to actually go and execute all this on chain. I think it's cool to do some of these test cases with DPI and ETH to showcase like what that process looks like, such that then when we want to go ahead and kind of do a more broad sweeping reform to our portfolio allocation, we're gonna have seen what that process looks like and be able to tackle it in a coherent manner.
Yeah, if you guys don't mind, I'll jump in. Hey, Yammers, do you guys hear me?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, so yeah, just jump in here. A lot of groundwork is being laid down right now, and it's important to realize that the Treasury, we want it to be fairly risk adverse, because you don't want a serious drawdown in the Treasury to affect our future projects. So it's important that, number one, we take our time. I know there are a lot of community members that are kind of complaining that we're taking too long to implement some of these purchases. It's not as simple as just clicking and buying. There has to be a lot of people involved. The contracts are involved, the groundwork. The YAM team is laying each item brick by brick, and sometimes we forget that. But once it's done, it will set up the framework for us to kind of move quickly. Another thing to note is that the assets that we hold in the investment side, and the investment side is not the whole treasury, it's only a piece of it, should be fairly stable. We're planning to hold it for a longer period of time. We don't want to be in and out of assets all the time, but we want to have a good stable core set of assets where we can utilize those to gain additional opportunities like yield farming. Since we already have or are buying DPI, it only makes sense to buy the ETH piece, the Ethereum piece, to match and yield farm. So these are the kind of strategies that I'm putting out there. And of course, I love you guys' feedback. Let me know. I'll just keep updating and iterating. And that's the beauty of the Treasury. The Treasury is governed by everybody. So you all have your input. We can all vote on it, and then we can decide what to do from there. And this is a really awesome project that I am glad that I'm a part of. Thank you, Trent.
Yeah, great to have you. I also, you're spot on in terms of, well, across the board, but I also just really love this idea of how can we just further leverage the assets that we're, already interested in, already invested in, and kind of how can we seek to really kind of maximize and compound our yield where we can, while also still, having a focus on these stable assets, diversifying our risk, all of those things. So I think the work that's going on with the treasury management has been really fantastic to see.
Yeah, the real beauty is that the Treasury is designed to not just hold assets, but really to support the YAM ecosystem. So ultimately, we don't want to double or triple our portfolio. We want to have this here to grow, but at the same time, if we need it, we can use it for the YAM crop protection, the insurance, or whatever other ecosystem projects that we have down the line.
Yeah, excellent point. So as we move into the governance piece of the roadmap, this is something that we've been kind of throwing around and talking about for a while. Basically, the YAM DAO has such a varied capacity of things that it wants to do. It's got a protocol to manage, it's got a treasury to manage, it's got an organization to manage, and it has a future product line to manage. And the fact of the matter is, like, each of those pieces kind of has its own decision-making dynamics, security risk dynamics, and kind of needs regarding participation from the community. And so we're looking at how we can start to implement, right now we have Governor Alpha. It's our one governor contract that controls everything in the protocol. We're looking at implementing additional governor contracts that, the first iteration will probably be a compensation governor contract that has a lower quorum but a much higher time delay on that decision-making process, such that we don't need, a huge contingent of the YAM community to participate in, the hiring of a developer. But we do need funds being sent out of the treasury to hire that developer to be monitored and have oversight from that larger YAM governance. So the idea there would be, we've got a lower quorum but a much higher time delay. And so really just focusing on increasing the flexibility of our governance system, which I think is going to be a really cool development that we always like to be doing things a little bit ahead of the curve at YAM, and so I think this is one of those places where we can be ahead of the curve in terms of how DAOs are operating, how they're making more efficient processes and decisions, but without sacrificing any decentralization by going to a multi-sig or anything like that. As far as the ecosystem goes, we're really continuing some of the branding efforts behind the scenes. Designer has been doing designer in the Discord has been doing some kind of like token holder and audience profiling, some cleaning up of the Yamifesto that I posted to the forum a little while ago, and just starting to really kind of coalesce some of these brand values, missions, narratives into something coherent and digestible, which I think is going to be really powerful as we, in the next few weeks, start to release some of the protection protocol things and go a little bit heavier into the public eye. And then as far as the organization, again, I just posted to the forum a kind of some frameworks for how we might go about compensating contributors, using some of these elements of the multi-governor infrastructure I was talking about earlier, and just starting to spell out spell out for people exactly, if you want to be a part of this project and work on it, full-time or for a specific contract, whatever it is, like, here's how you can enter into this ecosystem and be compensated for the work that you're doing. So I think that's going to be a really important piece of kind of onboarding infrastructure for us.
And we have, just so everyone watching knows, if they're not aware already, we have a new channel in the Discord called Volunteer, where if you want to get involved and you have technical skill sets or non-technical, but you want to help, that's the place to let us know. Let us know what you can do, what you're interested in. There's sort of a wish list already that ZeroXC and Brock have on sort of what they're hoping to put together, and that's on GitHub as well. But there's also come to us with your ideas too. If there's something you're like, man, I'd really love to do, I would love this thing and I'm willing to build it, great. We want to hear that too. But that's a great resource if you want to find a way to get into into this more deeply.
Yep, great point. And as far as that, like, kind of contract, like, I have a thing that I would love to see built, and like particularly I would love to build it. Included in these frameworks is a contract contributor framework that basically spells out how you can go about posting an idea to the forum, getting it out there, getting feedback on it, and saying, hey, I'll build this for X number of dollars. Get feedback on that, community discussion. We'll put it to a vote, and we can make those type of things happen. So really just trying to foster this this developer ecosystem, and creating really easy paths for people to get involved, build the things that we want them to build the things that they want to build, and do such in a way that there is some compensation for this kind of open source work that people would be doing. I think it's we've obviously got the Gitcoin Treasury grant, and we love supporting their open source ecosystem grants. But I also think it's interesting to do this same sort of thing in a way that is a little bit more directed, and a bit more potentially profit seeking. So yeah. And then lastly, upcoming needs. So really, it's a lot of this is related to the YCP product team, and so I'll pop this open as well. So this it's our new product category. Excited for a product category. So this just starts to scope out a little bit. What exactly are the pieces that need to get built from smart contract development. Brock is handling a lot of that, but like, if that's in your skill set and you want to participate, again, you want to like get at the ground floor of building a protocol, there's definitely ways in which you can get involved here. And then the design front end development, a number of decisions still need to be made here. We know a lot about what these mechanics are going to look like. We don't really have a name. We haven't settled on a name. We haven't settled on a name for the tokens, what the logo is. Are we going to have it be a YAM subdomain? Are we going to have it be its own website, aesthetic, all of these things that we need some people, the general community definitely need just like a general input, right? We also need people who are willing to say, here's my expertise, here's my experience, and this is something that I want to take some ownership over. And so that I think is a great opportunity for people to, if they've been looking for a place to get involved in YAM, this is a great entry point. Because in addition to, the smart contract, and we've got the front end development, there's also just going to be general comms, community management, explanatory posts, all of that stuff. So this kind of details all of it, as well as some kind of key outstanding questions. But if this is something you're interested in, the best way to start that getting involved process is, again, hopping into the Discord channel and just start chopping it up with us. Reply to this forum post with whatever thoughts you might have, and just start throwing out ideas and participating. We've got one question in the YouTube chat. Any discussion on hiring at least one more core dev to speed up development? Yes, there is indeed discussion about hiring at least one more core dev to speed up development. The reason that the contributor compensation framework was put out this week was because this is something that we want to do like very, very soon. And I think we can likely get accomplished very, very soon. Yep.
Great question, though.
Additionally, Nate is helping me with YCP. He's taking ownership of the factory contract while I focus on the core protocol aspects.
Excellent.
Go Nate.
Go Nate, indeed. That's key. Any other questions from the peanut gallery or our fellow contributors here?
Here's one, just, posing to the group generally, but after YCP, in terms of products, what do you guys see as sort of the next priority product, either for Brock and Nate to jump onto afterwards, or if other devs want to come on and volunteer and work concurrently with the YCP efforts? But I'm sure the community would love to kind of get a sense of, what could the YAM ecosystem sort of look like as it, fills out a bit more.
Yeah, good question. I think one of the key things is, again, this rage quit lending. That has the potential to blossom into a larger lending protocol in which you're not just borrowing the treasury's assets, but you're also borrowing the collateral that people are putting up, that people can also just go like lend into the treasury, and we can basically just have a kind of compound money market like part of the treasury in which the protocol is receiving fees for providing that infrastructure. So I think that is where I see some of our efforts going in the period after the insurance is into the rage quit lending, and then really broader lending. I think one of the other places that I think would be interesting to go, and I've been thinking about putting out a kind of like request for product forum post. I think this is, and this is one of Nick's ideas as well, like kind of a Y Combinator style request for products. But our version would like have potentially some bounties attached. But one of the things that would also be on there would be, potentially automated market maker trading with leverage. That's an idea that's been thrown around a little bit within the space. Nobody's really gone and built it yet. So I think that's something that would be really cool to go build. But I also think that like at the speed that this space moves, it's like there's always going to be opportunities for interesting financial instruments, combinations of different trends. I mean, I would love a YAM arcade that in some way takes, some traditional Web 2 games, even potentially, Augur.io, Slither.io, like these kind of Web 2 mini games, and like layer DeFi on top of them, such that it's like a little bit more of an arcade experience. You put in 25 cents of DAI, and then you get to play this game, and you can maybe win a little bit more money. And so, anyways, I got a bunch of different ideas of where we can go. It's the short answer to that, I suppose.
I'm all about a lending protocol, so there's a lot of cool stuff we can do there, especially if with YAM's elastic capabilities, if that stays the course. And then also Ross has been doing a ton of great work, just sort of ideating and conceptualizing like a multi-token ecosystem as well, which could prove really interesting.
Yeah, I'm quite interested in the multi-token ecosystem idea. Need to give it additional thought, but it does potentially solve some of these things where like some people like rebasing, some people don't like rebasing. Like how is this whole ecosystem, like we're building all these products, how do they all fit together? Yeah, I think there's a lot of cool potential there. And as well, the elastic finance stuff. Obviously, Ample is, continuing to really kind of develop and push some of the infrastructure there. They've got their new balancer smart pools out, which, definitely offer some benefits. I'm not like 100% sold on exactly what those benefits are, but they're definitely interesting. And I'm excited to see how the performance goes there. Brock, what do you want to see built?
I think after YCP, I like the lending aspect. I think the treasury particular, like I would really like to take advantage of the treasury, and there are a number of things that it allows us to do that no one else can do. We could be the most competitive lending market out there because we are an explicit counterparty in that system, or could be. And so there are there's some other interesting things that I've been talking with teams about around. I haven't thought through it entirely, but there's some interesting things around fixed interest rates and rolling options as well. Rolling options don't really exist in the current ecosystem, but they could be come into fruition with something like the YAM Treasury. And so that's something I've been giving thought to.
Yes, that would be awesome.
Yeah, it really would. Brock, regarding the 250K ETH purchase, do you have ideas of how we're going to execute that?
Same contract.
Same, just OTC again.
Just OTC, yeah. I think it's going to work really well for any of our pretty significant purchase sizes.
Tight.
Yeah, it's really nice. One of the issues, like, why don't we just use Uniswap or something like that? And the main issue with that is it's extremely front runnable. We're a slow moving governance process. So if our slippage limits get broken, then all of a sudden it pushed our purchase back 3 days at the very least. And so OTC is going to be the way we move forward, I think, almost every single time in the future.
Yeah.
So
do we know is Grapefruit Trading able to do that for ETH as well, I'm assuming?
I imagine so. I haven't explicitly asked them yet, but
yeah.
because the snapshot hasn't gone through yet, but
Right.
I have to imagine they're able to accommodate.
Cool.
And someone else, if not, then someone else can definitely handle that pretty easily.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
But
have
that's
a
cool.
question about OTC. Is there a benefit to building your own versus using something like, what is it, AirSwap that does sort of like they build products for OTC trading?
Yeah, so the issue with most of the current providers is they're not designed to be for DAOs. So a lot of them, either a good number of them, I haven't looked at every single one. AirSwap in particular, if I recall correctly, requires an end externally owned address signature. I could be wrong here. Last time I looked, that's what I remember looking at is they require a signature, which doesn't work in a governance context. And so not many of these OTC things are set up to work in an OTC or in a governance-based system. And so our system is particularly focused on being good for a slow-moving governance process. That's why we built our own. That's why we did what we did. Does that make sense?
Perfectly.
Yeah, it might be cool once we execute this trade. I think it's going to be cool to not only say, you know, hey, we just did this thing, but also you know, publicize that contract a little bit, and you know, maybe tag like all the other DAOs in the space and be like, yo, if you ever move to full decentralization as opposed to your multi-sig, this is something that might be helpful for you.
YAM is always at the forefront of innovation.
That's
Look at
right.
YAM.
Indeed. Cool, guys. Well, any other parting questions, thoughts?
Just keep rocking it. Keep hustling. Keep grinding.
That's all we can do, man. That is all we can do. We're out here building.
It's
And
inspiring to watch.
And luckily we've got a lot of really fantastic support from, you know, you guys on this call, community generally. You know, all I can say is fingers crossed we get Cirque to profitability. The dude's down 900% now. Those credit card YAM purchases, they can be dangerous. I don't recommend it for everyone. But yep.
Hashtag save Cirque.
Hashtag save Cirque, baby. Yeah.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Indeed. All right, cool guys. Well, this has been fun. Again, I'll post the agenda with, you know, maybe a couple other comments or whatever into the forum. Yeah, I'm sure the other contributors will give me feedback, but you guys watching at home, please provide any feedback on this format. Felt like maybe it was a little too much like explaining what's been going on, not enough like discussing what's on the agenda. I don't know. We're figuring it out as we go along. So
definitely let us know. Yeah, give us that feedback of like just what kind of information you're wanting to hear, especially those of you who, you know, for our first one, I mean, we had a smaller attendance, you know, live, but then, you know, we had a couple hundred people watch it in the long run. So, you know, for those of you who aren't able to watch live and ask questions and comments as we're doing the call, you know, we're sure there are things you want to hear and wish we would have covered. So let us know in the Discord and the forum so that way we can make sure we include that kind of content in the future.
absolutely.
And then just a heads up, folks, YouTube is sometimes a little bit funny in terms of how long it takes to process things. So we're gonna get it posted in the forum, you know, as quickly as we can, just for the final video. So bear with us if it takes a hot second longer than we imagined.
Cool. All right, let's shut her down. Thanks, guys.